Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well. Thanks a lot for tuning in. As always, I really appreciate it. Shout out to all the subscribers. Big up to anybody new. Gratitude to you. Let's talk about Canelo versus Jaime Munguia. It is a big fight this coming Saturday, Cinco de Mayo weekend. The fight buzz is kicking in. It has been quite a fun-filled week. There's been a lot going on in boxing. It's hard to keep up sometimes, you know. I've got so many videos coming that I've shot in the last couple of days. I've been a little bit under the weather, so I've been trying to get my energy up to get all these videos out. I was in the gym yesterday and I've got an interview coming with a really cool young man called Jaime Munguia. Shout out to you. He's a Dutch amateur champion and he was in Gleason's gym yesterday, so that interview should be coming out later tomorrow. And I've got a few other videos that I've been working on, but this one too I wanted to get out before. I know it's a little late now, so apologies for the lateness, but it is a really good fight. I think, to be honest, a Cinco de Mayo weekend and a September 16th like Canelo event, I think, for at least from my perspective, there hasn't been one that's really, you know, got the juices flowing in terms of a result or in terms of an event where it had that real major talking point. I think this one could be it, because I think it could be a really fun fight. Now, if you look at the fights before that, I'm talking about Jamel Charlo, obviously very disappointing performance from him. He didn't really come to win. Then John Ryder was, you know, it's not like it was an amazing opponent. He was a tricky southpaw. It was a decent fight. Canelo fought okay, I suppose. I only watched the highlights. I didn't see that live, but it wasn't, you know, before the fight, a matchup that, you know, would really get your juices flowing either. Although I didn't have an issue with the fight. I think this Munguia one, you know, obviously, look, we want the Benavidez fight. That's the one for me. But if it's not going to happen, you know, I'm not going to bang on about it too long. That's probably the best fight in boxing outside of what, Boots and Crawford maybe. I'm sure a couple of fights at 140 as well. But in terms of stylistic matchups, Munguia versus Canelo, Canelo versus Munguia, it's a good fight, and it has the ingredients to be a really good fight because of the likes of Munguia and his fighting style, and the likes of Canelo. Look, they've got a really interesting mesh of styles. Something's got to give, really, when you are a volume puncher like Munguia, who lets his hands go in combinations, and you are also an elite, crisp, hard counter puncher. Munguia can be hurt. We've seen that several times. He got hurt badly against Derevyanchenko a couple of times. Whilst the thing is with Munguia, which I probably will, I mean, obviously I will favour Canelo in this fight. It'll be interesting down the stretch if Munguia is still in the mix or still there, because he's coming to win 100%, and he really brings that Mexican warrior spirit, right? Canelo is a good fighter, but in terms of who can go to a darker spirit place, I think Munguia is probably that fighter. Now, he does get hit clean far too often, which, you know, he's not the most intelligent fighters I've ever seen, but that's kind of endearing. He's got a very endearing character. He actually reminds me of that movie, Apocalypto. There's the Jaguar Paw's friend. He's called Blunted, I think his name is, and he's kind of like a little bit of a dumb warrior, and he's always getting made fun of in the movie. If you haven't seen that movie, go check it out. But where I'm going with this is that Guy Blunted is a fearsome warrior. So I don't mean to, you know, call Munguia dumb like that. I'm just mean like he's too brave for his own good sometimes, because he just opens up, and if he gets hurt, he's right back at it trying to throw punches on you, and you can't teach that kind of spirit, you know. But that's the kind of spirit that really might get him in trouble against a really crisp, hard puncher like Canelo. You know, Canelo's punches are so crisp and sharp, and they will catch you off guard. And if you're coming in on it like Munguia probably will be, with his hands down, walking into shots, that could be a recipe for disaster for him, because Derevyanchenko had him really badly hurt whilst he was throwing a left hook in the action of punching. I expect Canelo to probably catch him in the act of punching as well. But if Munguia is able to overwhelm Canelo a little bit, Canelo's defense is obviously superb, and will be a big part in this fight. And you know, if Munguia is still in there in the mix in the late rounds, and he's trying to turn up the heat a little bit and make Canelo fight, because Canelo, you know, that's not the art of boxing, really, is not to get sucked into a rock'em sock'em style. But that's what Munguia is probably going to try to make Canelo do, I would imagine. At least maybe later on, if Munguia can get some sort of smarts about him and not get hit up with too many crazy punches and not be too reckless. This is the thing, is when you're throwing a lot of punches, and you know, I'm working on a documentary for Dimitri Bivol, and he is one of the most defensively responsible fighters I think there is. And when he lets his hands go, he's always thinking about defense too. So it's like doing bap bap bap, and if someone's hands are up, he'll still unload those combos. And when they come back, he's trained himself to back up and shoot left hooks and be defensively responsible. When Munguia's let his hands go, he just lets his hands go, and he's just thinking about offense. He's not thinking about moving his head in between the 2 or 3 punch combination. He's not thinking about stepping back. He's not thinking about any of that. He's just thinking about letting bombs go, for the most part. But I think, you know, I would expect Canelo to catch him with something quite big in between those shots, because we know Canelo, it'll be interesting to see what gives in this fight, because Canelo obviously is really like a front foot pressure fighter with a counter punching style. So, you know, he's not so accustomed to taking backward steps. So will he be boxing a bit more on the back foot and counter punching off the back foot? Will he be willing to trade with Munguia? You know, it's going to be quite some moments in this fight which could be really, really great for the sport and great for this Cinco de Mayo weekend and September 16th weekend, which is where I think it needs is the wrong word. It could probably use an injection of a really good, fan-friendly, fun fight, memorable, because, you know, I say memorable. The Charlo one wasn't memorable. The Ryder one, you know, it won't stand out in history, let's put it that way. The Bivol one, he lost, you know. So in terms of the Triple G one was like a bit of a, you know, lackluster, and like, you know, I was actually quite excited about that fight, but going into it, it didn't have the same kind of buzz. So prior to that, I don't even know what was prior to that, but so there's been a few years where it's been an event where after the fights happened, we were like, that was a great fight. Canelo's, you know, he's still the face of boxing, or one of, depending on how you want to look at it in terms of the youth. I know Tank's got a different market, and he's going to be probably, if Canelo's leaving, you would put it, or Ryan Garcia as well, but it's the different demographic coming through, I think. But Canelo probably has still got that slot, and to re-announce yourself as like, this is my sport, these are my dates. I think a good performance and a good fight this coming Saturday will really get that the energy higher, because to be honest with you, like the fight week's been pretty awesome. I know there's been a lot of stuff said. I know De La Hoya, you know, that could come to backfire, really, to be honest. If he's talking all that stuff about Canelo, I know they were kind of going at it, and you know, that could give Canelo some fuel to really go out and stop Munguia, because he'd not that he would want to do that to Munguia. Munguia just seems like, you know, not the kind of guy who'd really want to really personally inflict pain on, although he's going to have to. He's a boxer, obviously. But I'm saying for a spiteful performance against Munguia, in terms of to get back at De La Hoya, maybe. Although that would buy into the notion that Canelo would lose his head a little bit, and that then you're dealing with the intelligence of boxing, and Canelo's smarter than that, you know. But you never know. You never know. I think the first 6 rounds will be interesting to see how the pace goes, and see how Munguia, you know, is able to get his shots going and not get too reckless, because those counter punches are going to be there for Canelo. And you know, if he catches him with something hard and sharp early, how does Munguia respond? I mean, I'd expect him to respond like he always does, and he just comes back. You know, he's not the smartest fighter, but it's great to see, because he's an absolute warrior. He really is. He's got one of the bravest hearts in the sport right now, I think, to be honest with you. And that, if he's still in the mix later on and he's pushing the action, he's making Canelo fight a fight he doesn't want to fight, that could be interesting for me. But I'm picking Canelo all day long, really, just on his skills, sharper punching, more experienced, and just cleaner boxing, and ability to counter punch in between Munguia's punches, or you know, Munguia drops his hands quite a bit. You know, I think Munguia's jab could be quite important. I think he should use that a lot more, because Canelo, his jab's okay. It's not his strong point for sure, but if you're gonna mix it up with Canelo, you gotta have some defensive responsibilities. You know, he's gonna get hit with some clean shots. But you know, that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I wish I had more time to put in some highlights and stuff like that, but I've got such a hectic few days. I've got to get ready pretty soon and go to work. Then I've got an all-day thing tomorrow. Then I've got work tomorrow night. I'm not going to catch the fight live. I will watch it and I'll do a post-fight on Sunday, but I've got so many videos to get out to you guys, so I will have a very hectic few days. So usually, like I said, I put a lot of time and effort to get the footage that I can where I'm talking about it, but a bit pressed for time today. But hopefully that breakdown made sense. I think it's a good fight for the sport. I think it's a good fight for these dates, and may the best man win. Canelo probably on points, maybe a late stoppage. I think no one's had Munguia over. He's been hurt plenty of times. Will Canelo have that little bit of desire at the end to really get rid of him, or will he just want to see the fight out and be a bit more cautious at the end, as he has been before? We'll see. I hope you guys get to enjoy the fight. That's it from me. Have a great weekend.
Boxing.
On the edge.